Hello, all my stitchy friends. How are you all? My name is Sally. I am Flossie Sews and Grows here on YouTube and also on Instagram. This is a channel predominantly about cross stitch. Have I already said Flosstube number 26? Losing the plot already. It is Friday, the 2nd of February. So welcome to all of you. Whether you subscribe or not, whether you have been following me since video number 1 or whether you're new today, welcome everybody. I really hope you enjoy listening to me waffle on about my cross stitch and see some wonderful projects that might inspire you or just enjoy looking at. So it's February. We've got through January, which was the first month of Fun for 50 Sal. So this is an amazing, wonderful adventure I am having for 2024 to celebrate my 50th birthday later in the year with the lovely Sarah at Sew Me Sarah, who is also 50 this year. So I had the crazy idea of I'm going to do 50 new starts for 50, and I figured out Sarah was also 50 this year. She showed a sampler with her date of birth year on it, and I was like, oh, how about we do it together? And of course she, I had to twist her arm a few times, but she's joining in. So it was the first month and January was great. I had 6 new starts, which was wonderful. So I've got lots to show you and my progress on them. But I also have been stitching on some of my old whips. So if you can remember, I started 2024 with five whips, and let's get in my trusty board. And the first thing I have to show you today, because I'm so proud that I have finished, was a finish of Mighty Oak. So here we are. It is a finish. Very pleased with this. So this is Mighty Oak from Blackbird. It is from the Winds of Autumn book, pretty sure. And I was stitching this. I started this as a stitch along with my friend Kate, who is Crafty Kate. And Kate hasn't finished yet. But I have a bit more time to stitch, to be fair, than Kate. She's got young children. And a very, very good hand dyeing fabric business. So she's also known as Fabrics by Crafty Kate. So you must go and follow her. So she's a busy lady, and I get to stitch a little bit more. I've got a little bit more free time. So when Kate and I first started this, Kate said to me, I'm going to stitch the house in red. I was like, oh, that's a really good idea. I really like that idea. But I can't steal it because that's Kate's idea. And I said, oh, well, I might do it in blue. And then I'll have a red door because I've got a red door in my house. And I ummed and ahed and ummed and ahed and ummed and ahed. And then I saw that Sarah from Handmade by Sarah W, she had stitched it with the blue house and it looked amazing. And I just thought, I'm going to do it. So I have stitched this on a 40 count mystery fabric, although it is a Zweigart, and there's no real mottling to it. Oh no, there is actually, there is. So I'm not sure what it is, but it's beautiful. And I've stitched it predominantly with the called for either DMC or Weeks Dye Works threads. But the house I've changed, and I stitched the house in Weeks Dye Works blue jeans, and the door I think I stitched it in, can't remember the name now I say that. I don't think it's Cayenne. I think it's possibly oh gosh, Carolina, I can't remember, it's Carolina Cecil, isn't it? I think it's Carolina Cecil that I've stitched the door in. So it just, I think my personal opinion is that doing the house in a different colour just lifts it a little bit. And it's, you know, the colours are beautiful, they're really autumny, but I just think a different colour for the house just gives it a little bit more pizzazz. So I'm thrilled, absolutely thrilled that I have a finish on that one. Really, really pleased. So I have also been working on my other whips as well as my my new starts, because I don't want to ignore them. I want to get them done. So my next one is Four Seasons by Barbara Anna. And this is a kit that you can only buy through Knitska in Moscow. So you can't get it at the moment, but I was kindly gifted it. So obviously not the fabric, just the chart and the leftover threads. So I am stitching this on a 40 count mystery fabric again, but I think it's probably lamb's wool or natural. And you've seen this a few times before. You know that I've got the other two ladies rolled up neatly here in my nerd hoop, and it's just winter that I need to be finishing. And I think since you last saw this, I've done this white here, and then I've filled in some of the skirt. So one of my things that I'm not as keen on doing cross stitch is white, and I think this is a real common thing, not that none of us particularly, or quite a few of us, don't particularly enjoy stitching in white. Just don't know, just doesn't, for me, it just, yeah. And that's the one thing I think with this, that I'm now on to the lady who she's got lots of white kind of on her bit round here. So I am having to force myself a little bit on a Wednesday night, because that's the evening I stitch on Barbara Anna with my lovely friend Sally, who is Stitchy Sally on YouTube and on Instagram. And I'm kind of making quite slow progress, but I stitch a thread in white and then I switch to a different colour, do a thread in white, move to a different colour, just to try and give myself a bit of variety on that. So it will be finished soon. It will be finished soon. And then I will be having a new start on Gardener Dreams, and I can't wait. So that is the thing that's pushing me to keep on going with this, that it's nearly finished. There's really not an awful lot more to do on it. And then I get a new start on a new project. So that is Four Seasons. The other one that I've been stitching on, that I haven't stitched on for a while, and I bought this as a PDF, so I will pop what the pattern looks like up above. This is a Modern Folk embroidery, and it is Moonshine Cabin. So this I'm stitching on a 32 count. Now I think it's actually, I don't think it's a Zweigart fabric. I think it's Permin, because it's actually quite stiff. And so it's either chalk or slate, something similar. It's not black, but it's still quite dark. Now I do enjoy this when I stitch on it, and I am finding, you know, if I get the light right, it's not too bad. And I have found I've got a little tiny I bought a little tiny portable light for Stitch in London, and if I put this on the faintest, it has 3 different levels of light, and if I put it on the lowest, the least bright, and I put it underneath, it just gives me a little bit of a boost to see the holes a little bit better. So enjoying this. Now I think since you last saw it, I stitched all of this tree here and the bird, and I think I came out with this branch here. I did get a few days in on this. Now I have realised as I stitched this branch that actually I've gone wrong here somewhere. Now there's no way that I'm going to frog that, but I am going to have to try and figure out where I've gone wrong, because actually it's symmetrical, and I'm going to do the same on this side here. So I'm just going to have to count, recount, count, and stitch carefully just to just to see if I can get away with, I just have to try and make it that it still looks symmetrical on this side, even if I have to stitch the same mistake on this side. I'm sure I can do that. So again, not a huge amount to do on that one. So I think, oh, excuse me, I think this is my oldest whip, and I have a feeling I started it in January 2023. So, you know, not too bad, not not horrendously old whip, but you know, that's still hopefully can get finished soon. So my other whip that I've been stitching is Remember Me by Theresa. So this is predominantly a stitch that I'm stitching in memory of my dad and my mother-in-law, who sadly are no longer with us. But it's a happy, you know, these are things that made them both happy. You know, there's lots of flowers in here, lots of birds. So it's a happy stitch. So I'm also, when I'm stitching, I stitched on it on Stitchy Sally's birthday. When she turned 60, she was stitching Theresa Kogut, one of her new patterns with Thy Hands, and I love it, really love it, and I hadn't been able to get it in time for Sally's birthday, so I said instead I'm going to stitch on this on her birthday, as it's a Theresa pattern, which I did. And then that was December, then didn't really pick it up much, but I have this month tried to make some progress. If I have a picture of where I was with it last time, I'll pop it up so you can just have a look. I'm just trying to think how many, I've probably got 4 or 5 sessions in on it maybe, and what I've worked on has predominantly been the house. I've managed to get quite a lot of that filled in. I think the door I've started to fill in, and just try and work along here and up here, just to try and get the bones of that body of the house in, so that I can then figure out really. And also I have done a little bit more of the tree. This is quite fiddly because it's in 2 colours that are quite similar, and obviously I can't show you the pattern, but in the pattern they look quite similar as well. So I'm really trying to, I've made a working copy of it so that I can mark it off. I am a paper, I do like paper copies, so I've made a paper copy so I can mark it off, but still it's just slow progress, that is it. It's a slightly tricky, there's the tree there, just a slightly tricky to count it, and I want to get it right. But you know, if I can get the tree done and I can get the house done, I'm then thinking I can try and work out towards the border, which would be lovely, and start getting some of these flowers done. And I think also I can start working down and getting some of the birds done as well. So I have made some progress on that one. That's a slow one, that's not going to be finished anytime soon, but it's just a nice one to pick up now and again, and get some stitches in, and just and I mean, I've left it, it's a bit naughty leaving it in the nudge hoop, but I feel if it's in the nudge hoop, it's the only project I've got at the moment that needs the bigger nudge hoop size. But if I keep it in there, it means it's handy just to pick it up. If I just think, oh, I've got 5 minutes to do some stitching and it's in my stitching room by my stitching desk, I can just pick it up quickly and get a few stitches in. So I'm stitching it on 40 count, and it's a vintage cream from Zweigart, and it's lovely to stitch on, really enjoying it. So that's that, and I'm stitching that, it's predominantly DMC, but there are a couple of Weeks Dye Work colours in there which I am using, and I think that's one. The green tree has one DMC, and then the other colour is Weeks Dye Works, and it's, yeah, just occasionally the colours are quite similar. So those are all my old whips that I've worked on in January and worked on since I last saw you, which was the middle of January. Then I have 2 of my new starts that you saw my starts in the middle of January, and I have managed to get some work on. So first of all, I have got Go Tell It on the Mountain, which I'll pop a, so I bought this as a PDF from at the Jingle Ball. So it's from Heartstring Samplery. So I'll just pop a picture up here so you can see what it looks like. And again, if I have got a picture, if I took a picture after my last Flosstube, so you can see where I got up to, I will insert it. I can't remember if I took one or not. But here is where I am up to. So I have managed to get lots of that house filled in, and I have also managed to get the roof done, this roof here, and I think move across here to that. I think it's a fern and a bit of tree. So I'm really enjoying this. I'm stitching this on, and I don't think you can really quite see the colour. I'm stitching it on a 40 count even weave, and it's from Megan at Coffee Crafts. Now initially I was really struggling with it, and I was thinking, I've never stitched on an even weave which was 40 count. I've always stitched on linen, and I was thinking I'm not really enjoying it. And I've still this one bit of fabric I've cut off from a fat quarter. I was thinking, oh, I'm gonna have all this fabric left that I'm not really enjoying stitching on. But actually, as I've done more, I think I've adjusted to it. And I think, you know, I kind of was thinking, oh, people always say that even weave's easier to stitch on than linen because it's even and linen's all over the place. But actually I was finding the opposite. But actually I have got used to it now, and I think I'll you know, I'm enjoying it. So I'm no doubt will have other projects I can use the fabric for, but unfortunately the colour isn't quite coming up. Let's see if it gets really close. No, it doesn't. So it's a kind of smoky pink colour with some kind of grey, a little bit of grey, light grey mottling in there. So it's absolutely beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So, and again, it's not huge. You know, I think the majority of that stitching is in the house. So, you know, if I can just keep getting a couple of sessions in on that, I don't think it's going to take me an awful lot longer actually. And I think, you know, there's the potential that could be finished sooner rather than later. So and you know, it's a wintry one, and the snowflakes in there, but it's very pretty. Not necessarily have it up all year round, but it's certainly, if it got finished in February, March, it could go up on the wall. But obviously then I'd have to fully finish it, and my fully finishing pile is ridiculous. I really need to do a challenge for fully finishing. So if anybody knows anybody that is doing fully finishing challenges that I should be joining in on, let me know. I've got a massive pile, and it's crazy. It really is crazy. So the next one that I started, and you saw my progress last time, and I'll show you where I've got to with this one, was Santa and the Woolmakers, and this is a collaboration between Hello from Liz Matthews and her mum Kathy Barrick, and absolutely love this one. I have only done, I think, maybe 2 stitchy sessions on this, so haven't stitched an awful lot on it. It is a Christmassy one, so I think you know, I'm not in a rush to get this one finished, but I think, you know, I'd like to get it finished this year so I can have it displayed for Christmas 2024. Can't quite remember, so I'm stitching this on a 40 count. It's a fabric from XU Designs, and it is called lamb's wool, and I bought it on the second-hand market. So it's absolutely beautiful. It's a gorgeous fabric. It's a very kind of pale pink, and it's really beautiful. Now I'm not quite sure where I got to last time, but I think I've possibly stitched these leaves, and I think I've gone over here. There's a bit of white here that you really struggle to see a little bit of, and I think I've moved across with these kind of Quakerish style little star doodahs. Don't quite know what they're called. Star doodahs sounds good though, I think. So not a huge amount of progress, but I think a little bit of progress each month will get something done. So that's a lovely one to stitch, and I'm stitching it in, so the called fors are MPIs, and there is a conversion for DMC on there, and so I am stitching predominantly with the DMCs that were given on the conversion, but actually I have added in the red star doodahs. I am stitching in a Roxy Floss Co Merlot just to give them a bit more depth. I think the called for DMC there was 3777. I think on my last video I was calling it 377, but it has an extra 7, so it's 3777. Yeah, so I'm using Merlot instead from Roxy Floss Co, which is beautiful. So those were the new starts for January that you'd seen. I'd already started by the last time I did my Flosstube in the middle of the month, and I had 2 new starts after. So the first one is for thee, and this is from Laya Studio, and I've just popped a picture in here. Now this is a freebie, so if you go to I think it's Laya Studio blogspot, you will find it there. And this is one that Sarah and I started on the same day, and we have just absolutely fallen in love with it. And also my friend Alex, hi Alex, is stitching it. Alex is at Alex Ong on Instagram. I've tried to talk to her about doing a Flosstube, but she said no, but I still think she should. So Alex has joined in with us on this, and this is my progress so far. So I'm stitching this on it's either white or antique white, 36 count Zweigart, and oh, beautiful so far, absolutely beautiful. I am stitching it with, so there was a prompt for this. So the prompt for this one was from Christina. I'm hoping I pronounce your name correctly, Christy, your surname. Simonillo. And oh no, sorry, this one was the one. Cut that. This one was from Kathy McRae, who had suggested that Sarah and I stitch something with a blue or purple thread. So I picked 3 beautiful Roxy Floss Co purples, which I had in my stash. So these are Violet Woods that I think had come in the Maximum Cross Stitch September Revenge, Aubergine, which is beautiful dark purple, and purple's my favourite colour, and also Shy Violet, which had also come, so I think Violet Woods and Shy Violet had come in the Maximum Cross Stitch September's Revenge kit, and then I bought Aubergine at Stitch in London. So I've started with those 3 colours, and then there's also a black in there, and I was going to use Roxy Floss Co Carbon, but actually I've got a black from Brin and Needle, which I felt, just Carbon I think has a slight tinge on it, and I think actually the Brin and Needle one has got the slight kind of greyish purpley colour that I felt fitted better, so I bought that one in for the black. But actually it's paired with a really bright pink, and so I'm really tempted. Now I have pulled that pink in and done that heart with the pink, but actually I think I'm going to pull that out, and there's just a couple of individual hearts, and I'm thinking I might just stitch those in that bright pink just to give it a little bit of ooh. So let me know what you think, if you think I should use that pink as well. And I think that's, you know, although I was trying to keep it all Roxy Floss Co, I think it's lovely because those are both, Brin and Needle is a Canadian company, so I think who, and again, you know, two independent Canadian sorry, I just dropped my stitch. Two Canadian companies there, so which, you know, great to be supporting independent businesses, whether they're in the UK or whether they're in Canada. So, and I'm keeping that one in my lovely bag that Ros from Ros Clark Crafts gifted me. So let's put that one away. So that was my new start number 1 since I last spoke to you. And the other one, this is the one that Christina had given a prompt for. Christina had given a prompt of stitch something Valentine or candy themed. And also Jane Copeland, this other start covers this prompt, which was, can I stitch something in a week? So this was a start, but it was also a finish, and it was Cupid's Cup. This one here from Love Notes by Brenda Gervais. And I started it on the Monday and I finished it, I think, the following Sunday. So here we go. Here is Cupid's Cup. And it says, love you a latte. So this is really, really cute and beautiful. So this was stitched again on a 40 count fabric from my mystery bag. And it is, again, a pinky colour with perhaps a kind of tinge of green mottling, if you can see that, based on a Zweigart fabric. So not entirely sure what it is. I would really love to know. So my magic stash bag, for those of you who haven't heard about it, when I go say, oh, my magic stash bag, I was really lucky enough on Instagram, a very prolific stitcher put some bags of scrap fabric up on Instagram for sale, and I managed to get 2. I got the 32 count and I got a 40 count bag. I'd never stitched on 40 count, but I thought, well, a bag of scraps, I love stitching smalls, it's a great opportunity to try 40 count. You know, I paid less than you'd pay for a fat quarter of Zweigart fabric for this bag. And when the bag arrived, oh my goodness, it was just packed. It was packed. And for those of you who've been watching me for quite a while will know I have stitched a lot on fabric from my magic stash bag because there was so much in there. There were a couple of things that were labelled. There were a couple of things that were in bags that told me what they were, but there were a huge amount that weren't. And I've loved stitching on these fabrics, and I really wish I knew what they were. You know, there were a couple of labels in there for XG Design fabric. There were a couple of Fox and Rabbit labels. There was a Sparklies label. There was, what else was there? There was something else as well. There was some fabric from the Crafty Kitten, which was in bags, so I knew that was Crafty Kitten. But I think the lady that I bought it from has been stitching for a long time and just had such a vast array. And you know, some of the pieces, there were some fat quarters in there. Oh no, actually, were there any fat quarters? Not that much, but there were some definite fat 8s in there. So there was some, I know there were a couple of, yes, I think the Crafty Kitten, I can't remember, but a really really decent amount of fabric, and I really looked out on it. But you know, I would love to know what this fabric is. I really I probably, if someone I don't know, maybe someone like Michelle from Mama Loves You GB, if I said, what do you think these fabrics are, she might have the knowledge to say, oh well, I think that one's that and that one's that. But I'd love to know. I'd love to know what I've been stitching on, because I have been stitching on some fabulous fabric, and I've really loved it. I've been so lucky. So that's another gorgeous 40 count, and I predominantly have stitched this with the called for DMCs. But as you can see, I have changed the colour of the cup of the latte mug, so that I have used a lovely bright pink. I'm just trying to think if put the bag away. I thought, you don't need to see my project bags today, you've seen them all. So I've taken everything out of their bags. It was a beautiful pink from and it was on a pack from Threads by Rolanda. I will pop it below, which I was another Canadian hand dyed thread dyer that I will link below, that I was gifted. I was gifted those by a lovely kind stitcher, so I've used that beautiful pink for that. So that is Cupid's Cup. So those were my 6. So you haven't seen all 6 of my new starts for January now, because one of them I didn't work on. Just looking at my list and counting, there's one I didn't work on. So since I last saw you, I haven't worked on the twin bird pin cushion. Because I haven't worked on it, because I'm not in a rush to get that one finished, because that one will be fully finished at the end of the year and stuffed with my orts. So I haven't worked on that one. And but have a look, Ros Clark. So Ros, my friend, who came and visited a couple of weeks ago, Ros has now finished hers, and she's fully finished it as well. So go and have a look at her Instagram where she popped a photo. So I'm just waiting for her Flosstube to show how she did it. Really good, because when she came and visited, she was giving me some advice on how she was just changing it very slightly to make it easier to fully finish it. So I'm really looking forward to hearing how she's finished that. So and I haven't stitched on that, and then also I do have a new start that is a secret stitch that I can't show you because that's a present for somebody that I know watches me. So those were all my new starts for January. So I started January with 5 whips. I had 6 new starts and 2 finishes. So I'm going into February with 9 whips, which, do you know what? I think that is fabulous. I think a few people have said, oh, I couldn't do 50 starts. It would be too much. But I think because Sarah and I are spreading them out over the year, that's making it more achievable. And I think, we're both also stitching a lot of smalls. So that's a real bonus that you can, Cupid's Cup I got finished in less than a week. So, there's going to be lots of things like that in my stitching. I do love little smalls. I do love, I've got all my Halloween. I've got, everything kind of spring themed at the moment is out now in the house. And there's a few winter things as well. So, my little display behind me's got some Halloween and a bit of Christmas and the things that I can't have out in the house. So, I do like having little displays. So there will be lots of small. So I don't, 9 whips to me is very happy. I like swapping round. I can stitch on maybe 3 things in a day. I can stitch a little bit before work. I can stitch immediately after work while I'm waiting for everybody to get home from school, and then I can stitch something different in the evening. In the evening I might start something and then get to a point and think, oh no, I fancy doing something different now, and I might swap. So, I can go from stitching 1 thing in a day to stitching 3 or 4. So I can get, I like touching all of my projects when I can, within a month. So, and there are times where I will set myself challenges to stitch something different every day. Just to keep the variety up. And I think there was a lady that had commented that she'd lost a stitchy bug on my last Flosstube, and she'd said, oh, it was lovely to see something that I'd stitched, because she'd been stitching on it but put it to one side because she'd lost a stitchy bug. And I think when you get like that, or when you get that you're kind of thinking, oh, I don't want to be stitching on this, I just put it down and I stitch on something else, and the bug doesn't go away. I just move to a different project and then get invigorated and feel the love for that, and might do a couple of days on that then over, and then switch again, but again be stitching 2 things for a couple of days and then switch to another 2 or 3. Or so it's, at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you. It's your hobby, it's your life. You've got to stitch what works for you. But I'm happy. I wonder when I get to about 20 whips, which might happen by the middle of the year. I might be up to about 20. I might start getting a little bit more. Ooh, we'll see. That's all the fun of this year as to how it's going to be. So so I showed you in my last Flosstube what my new starts for February will be. So I think I told you I was going to do Be Mine, that one there. And actually, so yesterday was the 1st of February, I made a start. And so there it is. That's the little, there you go, with the two little birds. And it's nearly finished. Yesterday I started it, and I didn't start it actually until after work, and stitched on it. My daughter was out at dance, my partner was out tutoring. I was like, oh. I had something for tea in the Ninja foodie, which was cooking itself. So it was like, great, doesn't need any input from me. Stitch. And then I stitched after tea in front of the telly with my daughter, and then with my other half later in the evening. I thought I can get it finished, and I didn't quite. But again, you know, a great small that could be finished in almost a day. So that was my first start for February, and I wanted it to be a finish before I spoke to you today, but not quite. So the other things I'm stitching this month, a little freebie called Winter Celebration Small from Liz Matthews, Hen and Chicks from Brenda Gervais, Lost in Stitches Winter Snow, and then the final one so all of those, I haven't got a date yet set for those, but I'm going to start them at some point in February. I'm thinking that possibly the Winter Celebration Small, it's my mum's birthday in a couple of weeks. I'm thinking I might start that one maybe today, tomorrow, and to get that one stitched quite quickly so I can gift it to her. So I haven't got dates on those. So those are going to happen at some point in February. But the one that I have got a date for, and I did show you this last time that I was going to do it, and the lovely Lisa, she's in Germany, Lisa, and she came over to stitch in London, and for those of you who will remember, I got and I'm it's in my pile now, but a lovely, this was the Smalls exchange that I got at Stitch in London. It was Lisa that had made that. So Lisa is her name on Instagram. I'm so sorry if I get this wrong, Lisa. My German, I did do German at school, but my accent isn't very good. Is mer_Reichs_ich_ger_Bastien. Bastien, that sounds more French. I'll pop Lisa's Instagram handle below because she does stitch some really, really wonderful things. So go and have a look. But after I showed this on my last Flosstube, Lisa said, I've got that pattern and I've got it kitted up. Should we start it together? And I was like, yes, that would be wonderful. And she'd said she would either like to start it on Valentine's Day or a 29th of February start, because we're in a leap year this year. And I said, well, if you've got it ready and you can't wait, I can't really wait either. Let's do Valentine's Day, because that's the sooner one. And she was happy with that because she loves coffee. And of course I am a massive chicken fan, so this is why I wanted to stitch this chart. So this is Coffee and Eggs from the Artsy Housewife. We both got it kitted up. We're both going to start it on Valentine's Day. So if you would like to join us, please do come along and join us. We haven't got a hashtag for it. Maybe we should call it hashtag I love coffee and eggs, Sal. Don't know. But if you'd like to come and start that with us on Valentine's Day, please do tag me in, and so that I can see it, because that would be absolutely fantastic. So that will be my Valentine's Day start. And then another one that I have just seen come up on, I had an email, I think maybe yesterday, was the hands-on design freebie for Valentine's. So Kathy from Hands On Design always does a little, it's around Valentine's Day or beginning of February. I think it's because it's her anniversary with her husband, and so she always does a little freebie, and she sent her newsletter out with the little freebie, and I'm just covering at the chart. So there it is. The freebie this time is Let Love Grow. So it's really, really tiny. I'll just flash the, you know, there's not an awful lot to that. So I think I'm going to add that in as well and perhaps do that. Now I think that is one that I will easily get finished in a day. So it says let love grow, and it's got some little kind of heart flowers at the bottom. Absolutely beautiful. I've printed out the chart, which is for over 2, but she has charted it that you can stitch it over 1 as well. So one over, well, probably you would do it 1 over 1. And I have got some fabulous red fabric actually that I've had. I've got 2 in a red colour that I've had from Crafty Kate, Fabrics by Crafty Kate. A slightly pale, I think one's slightly pale and more of a pinky colour, and one is more red. So I think I will probably use that to stitch that. So that is probably one I'll get done quite quickly in time for Valentine's Day. So my other half is going to have lots and lots of little stitchy presents. Haul. Now I think on my last video I said I'm not going to buy anything. I'm going to try and do as much as I can from Stash, and that's still true. I am going to do as much as I can from Stash, but I'm going to try and be very mindful with my purchasing. But my mum was going up to Create Nostalgia. We don't live far away from Create Nostalgia, and she asked if there was anything I needed, and I just said actually there are a few threads that I haven't got that I would like, just to add in some gaps. So some beautiful threads, and these 3 are for, I was actually going to do Cosford Rise Stitchery, have a lovely chart with chickens on called Easy Peckings, and I'd had a look at it. I'd originally thought about putting it in February, to stitch it in February, and then I looked at it and I was like, oh, it needs a few hand-dyed threads, and I haven't got the equivalent DMCs, and oh, I'll do it another month. But actually those were, I looked through what threads I had that were called for, what I could substitute, what I didn't need to. So for example, the fence, there's a fence along the back of it, and that's brown. I thought, do I need a hand-dyed thread for that? Probably not. I've got the DMC, I'll use that. But the actual chickens, some of the colours were these 4 here. So I just looked at the chart and looked at what I thought, which hand-dyed threads I thought would look good and most effective. It was definitely on the chickens. So those were 4 of the hand-dyeds that I've had as a little treat for that. And then, yeah, just a handful of DMCs for things that are coming up for my new starts. So yeah, so I was mindful, you know, I'd kind of got these things on my list to, you know, if I needed anything from anywhere and I was putting an order in, I would order them, but it wasn't urgent. But you know, it was kind of worth, with mum going up to Create Nostalgia, it was worthwhile to get her to sort that out for me. So talking about my mum, I think I showed you perhaps on my Christmas video a little strawberry that she'd stitched me quite a while ago. And I know when Crafty Kate's obviously visited my house a few times, I've got quite a lot of stitching up, and then when Ros came and visited, she saw some of the stitching that I've got around the house, half of which is mine and half of which my mum stitched for me. And Ros said, oh yes, no, you must show more of what your mum stitched for you, because it's all, you know, it's all beautiful. So I thought I perhaps will show you a couple of things at the ends of each videos of what mum stitched me over the years. So I'm starting probably with 2 of the things that I think this is probably the oldest one that I've got that mum stitched for me, that I've got. You know, I think there's things that she stitched for me when I was younger that are at her house as well. So her house is just, I love Christmas. When I love going to mum's house at Christmas, because she's got so many beautiful Christmas decorations, so many things that she's stitched over the year, or her friends have stitched and gifted to her. She's got quite a gang of friends that also stitch. So you know, she's got some really lovely things, and things that you can't get hold of anymore, you know, old patterns that I don't think she's got the patterns anymore either. I've tried to find things in the attic and can't, but so But she's still got quite a good stash. And she did, I think she had a conversation with Mary at Create Nostalgia when she went up, because Mum also bought some threads, and Mary said, I can't believe that you haven't got these threads already. And Mum just said, oh no, I probably have, but Sally's taken them and not returned them. I don't think that's strictly true. But there we go. I think I do return. I think actually I now lend more to my mum than she does to me. But there we go. It's lovely to have her close by and have a stitchy mum as well. But so I've had lots of stitching over the year. I believe this is probably the one that I've had for the longest. I think she probably stitched this for me when I was about 15. I know there's a lot of these of the Country Companions charts now that you can get on the secondhand market, and in charity, people find them in charity shops and all sorts. But I loved hedgehogs. And I've got the Country Companions. I've got this hedgehog with little plastic green boots on somewhere. He's probably in the attic. I think we called him Edward Hedgehog. But so this is one that Mum stitched, and she stitched it on Ada, and it's just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And it hangs now in my work study, so I get to look at it every time I go to work in my work study. So it's lovely. Yeah, professionally framed, and I think, you can see it's probably quite old, because I think the Ada has started to, it's not quite straight anymore. So I mean, maybe at some point I should get it, see if a framer could perhaps stretch it again for me, or perhaps I could try and take the frame back off and give it another little stretch myself. But yeah, that's that one. And then the other one that I've got to show you today, I won't show you them all because there's lots, is this one, which is, I would say this was probably done when I was in my 20s probably. So this one's probably 25 years old. The Country Companions one, it's probably 35 years old. But this is Daughters Are Delightful, and I love this. She's done this on an even weave. I would say it's probably 30. It's either 28 or 32 count. Let's try and get the glare off. Yeah, so I think it's a slightly more modern frame. It's definitely framed. It's framed somewhere different. So this one was framed. The Country Companions one was done at a shop in Farndon, and they closed quite a long time ago. So this was definitely done at a different framers in mould, who I know she started using later on. So initially I looked for this to try and find the chart, and initially I thought it was a Lizzie Kate, but actually it's a heart in hand. It's a heart in hand design. So I think it is on the website for Heart in Hand, but I'm not sure if it's still for sale. But I absolutely love that. Mum's done it in my favourite, purples. So this now it actually hangs in here. So it hangs on the wall that is opposite me when I sit and stitch. So if I look up and I can see it. So there we go. So those are two things that my mum has stitched for me over the years, and I will keep on showing you a couple each video when I've perhaps got a bit of time. So that, I think, wraps me up for today. It's a shortish month. January always seems very long, doesn't it, with 31 days. And then we go into February normally with 28, and it goes by so quickly. And we have half term, which in the UK is a week of half term. So school's off for a week. So we have to cram that in quickly as well. And that is, so we've got one more, it's a Friday now. We've got next week at school, and then my children around in this area certainly are on holiday for a week, which is always nice. But unfortunately I've got to work during half term, but ho-hum. The weather's starting to get a lot nicer. It's sunny out there today with a bit of blue sky. And slightly warmer. So I'm hoping spring is on the way. So yeah, so January is always really long. February comes with a bump and goes quite quickly, but we have got that extra day in February this month. So I've got quite a few new starts to do. They're all quite small though, so I think when I come and visit you, I'm going to try and come and visit you in the middle of the month, so that I can show you my plans for March, so you can see what I'm stitching for my Fun for 50 Sal in March, so if there's any there that you would like to join in on, you've got the opportunity to. So I'll come back in 2-ish weeks and talk to you then. So I think, you know, potentially with all the smalls that I've got that I want to stitch this month, you might see some starts and some finishes. We'll see. So thank you so much for lasting. If you're still here, well done. Congratulations on getting through 50 minutes. And it's been lovely to chat to you all, lovely to show you where I'm up to with all of my projects. I hope it's given you some inspiration to go and sit and do a bit of stitching. If you've lost your stitchy bug, I hope it has given you some inspiration to get it back. And lovely to see you all. I hope you're all well, and until next time, happy stitching. Bye bye.